Just before we get into the video today, a little heads up, we are making our grand return to Football Manager streaming tonight at 7 PM UK time. If you're watching this video the day it's up, that's in 7 hours. Drop by Twitch or YouTube, we're starting a new save game. It'd be lovely to have you there. I really need a positive to start today's episode, so let's talk about new signing Nicholas Silva. Yes, this man was a free agent who was in their NXGN voting. I think he was positioned 37th. Naturally, when I saw he was available and he wanted to join us, I signed him. He can play left mid. This might actually be a really useful deal. He was released by Nasir now. Like I said, he was in the Next Gen voting, which was really nice, alongside another player of our own. Admittedly, I'm not entirely sure why Ernest Tanko was in the Next Gen voting. He's not really played very much for us, although he has scored one goal recently, the 18-year-old. He's been featuring more in the first team than you might expect, and he has also, in the last month, made his first ever appearance for the Cameroonian national team. But there is a reason he's been playing. There has been a departure since you were last here, and it is one that is a little bit bittersweet. Son Jin-hyun scored such a great goal to start the year, didn't he? It feels like a fond memory, that solo run he went on. But since then, he's kind of always been on the peripheries of the team. He wasn't very happy with the playing time he was getting. He wasn't really shining for us either. Someone made a bid of £750,000, and it just felt like too much to turn down for a player who has largely been on the fringes of the first team. It's one of those ones where I'm a little bit gutted, but then when I compare him to Nicholas Silva, who we've just snapped up on a free transfer, who's 2 years younger, suddenly I don't feel quite so bad. Now, in terms of the club finances, they're really not looking so healthy at the moment. That is completely self-inflicted, because I am continuing to spam board requests. We have had the youth facilities and training facilities granted improvements. I think the youth facilities are actually done as of last episode. But yes, further training facility upgrades. We'd only just finished the most recent ones a couple months back, but we are continuing to improve the infrastructure here at the club. But I'm afraid to say, if you're thinking I'm improving it in anticipation for a possible Premier League season, I'm here to tell you, with 3 games left of the season, that is almost certainly not what we are playing for today. I've only played 8 matches since you were last here. When I left things, we were in 3rd. We are now down in 10th. We've lost 5 games on the bounce. We've won 1 game in our last 8. And if we don't win our first game of the episode today against Watford, I don't think we can even make the playoffs mathematically. Yeah, I really was using that Nicholas Silva signing as a bit of a shield to try and deflect away from this. Look, it has not been good enough lately. Last episode, we beat Millwall, we drew against Bolton, but then wins against Hull and Brentford really convinced me we're on the straight and narrow. And that could not be further from the truth. In our very next game, we lost 3-0 against Wolverhampton Wanderers. To be fair, they were by far and away the better team in this game. And to be fair, on paper, they also do have the better team. Nevertheless, based on our recent form, this was a game that really sucked to lose, especially because we absolutely capitulated in the first half. We were 3-0 down after 45 minutes. But you know what? It was our first defeat in 4 or 5 games. I wasn't going to panic. We were taking on Sheffield Wednesday. I thought this was a winnable game. Spoilers, was winnable. Aguiar bagged a hat-trick in this game. Garcia with a 9.3 rating as well was superb. And yeah, Aguiar's goal tally for the year is now 10. Admittedly, that comes across 27 matches, but he had been in some really good form. Sadly, that form he was in completely stopped after he got this hat-trick. I mean, look, we have played 6 further games. Admittedly, there is a glaring issue here. We've only scored goals in 2 of them. Look, a 0-0 draw against Ipswich is frustrating, especially because Ipswich are down in the relegation zone. A 6-3 defeat to West Brom away from home was frankly embarrassing. What I will say is, I think we were really unlucky in this game. When you look at the overall stats, 6-3 just feels harsh. It's weird. We have the most clean sheets in the division, but there's been too many games like this one this year where we absolutely capitulate. I think back to us losing, obviously, to Wolves just this episode as I recapped where we lost 3-0. The 5-3 defeat against Wolves, 3-0 against Southampton, 4-1 against Wrexham, 4-1 against Coventry. Yeah, there has just been a few games this year where we ship a load. And whilst that's not a trend that has kind of continued in the last 4 games, winning has been a far cry thing. We have scored 1 goal in our last 4. 1-0 defeat against Norwich was awful. We were really on the ascendancy in this game, and I thought we were going to get a goal back. Sadly, that was just before Zena completely lost his head at left back. And I think for the 3rd time in this season, he got a red card. Down a man naturally in this game, we couldn't mount a comeback late on. And against Birmingham City, I wish I had a good excuse. I wish there was a red card. No, we just lost 1-0. They had 1 golden opportunity. It was a scrappy opportunity. It went in the back of the net, though. And much like that last game, with a little bit left on the clock, we went on the front foot. and we just couldn't find a way through. We lost to Stoke at home as well. There's just a trend here. It's just 1-goal defeats, narrow defeats, tiny margins, but margins which matter. Tanko's first goal for the club, the only silver lining in this game. We hit them on the counter-attack. They committed men forward for a free kick, showed us a lack of respect, but as you can see by the clock, whilst this was a good goal to get, and Kosahasi's assist was delightful, with such little time on the clock, it was for absolutely nothing. And against Sheffield United, we lost with a penalty in the 91st minute. I feel like that really surmises things lately. It's tight margins. Our inability to score is just an issue. I guess the worst thing of all is a lot of these games we've slipped up in against the likes of Ipswich Town, Stoke City, Birmingham, Norwich. These are bottom half teams. This has kind of been the trend this year. I feel like going into next season, and I have been trying to do it a little bit lately in these matches as we've kind of had this rot, I've got to come up with a solution for where teams set up to defend against us. Because when we're the underdog and teams attack us, we can hit them on the break, the space in behind. When we have possession and we need to take the game by the scruff of the neck, it's just not something we're comfortable doing. Now, as I mentioned, there's a very, very slim chance we could still make the playoffs today, but our games today really aren't easy. We've got 3 games left of the year. If we lose the first one, I think we mathematically can't make the playoffs, in which case, I don't know what the plan is today. Maybe we'll just do the last 2 games in a recappy fashion and just get this season over and done with quickly. If we can get something against Watford, we've actually got Burnley and Swansea. Swansea are up in 3rd to take on. Oxford United, by the way, with a bit of a shock promotion. Fair play to them, running away at the top of the table. The fact that no one outside of Oxford has kept to less than double figures for defeats really gives you an idea of how tight this season has been. And to add a little bit more misery to things, the youth intake has been absolutely awful. Lenny Alonzi is the only man I've signed from the intake. And I'm going to be frank with you, I don't even think he's very good. I mean, when it comes to the under-21s and the under-18s, I have been keeping it lean. The under-18s is just full of all the youth candidates. The under-21s has a little bit of quality, but plenty of players here who are being loaned out. I guess the thing with our team is we've got a lot of players that maybe for any other team would be in the kind of youth team, actually already in the first team. In fact, when we sort players by age here, essentially half our squad is an under-21s team. Now, it's worth noting that Nicholas Silva that we have signed, literally signed like today. He's not played a game for us yet. If we somehow make the playoffs because of this man, it'll be the greatest thing ever. He's got a cap for Uruguay, he's quick, he's got a good left foot. Statistically, look, he's played in World Cup qualifiers, admittedly, as a sub. But if he could put in a good performance to end the year, at least we could end things with a little bit of a high. And for anyone thinking, Nicolas Silva and Jesus Maria Garcia look very similar. They've got the same dad. Yeah, Nicholas's mum is Uruguayan. That's why they look the same. Honest. Look, if there is a positive to find with this run-in to end the year, I feel like it probably is going to lead to us still kind of achieving an overperformance in the grand scheme of things, but the playoffs looks very unlikely. But one thing I will just point out is, from a kind of developmental point of view, there's a few players that have really stepped up this year, and to be frank, had we gone up to the Premier League, I think we would have been royally screwed. Emerson Cardozo's developments as of late have been absolutely phenomenal, to the point where, and this is rather concerning, there's lots of very, very big teams interested in him, and he doesn't want to renew his contract with me right now. Now, admittedly, he has got a 3-year contract signed with the club and a contract extension after promotion of a further 3 years. But yeah, there might come a world where we need to cash in on him. It will have to be for a lot more than £1.4 million, though. He could improve a lot. Apparently, he's already a Premier League quality player. And the thing to note with this 20-year-old is he has improved a lot in terms of his attributes, whilst also picking up defensive midfielder, having previously had no knowledge of it. When you train a player in a new position, it can really stifle their growth. The fact he's continued to develop like he has means that he is on a trajectory in the next couple of seasons to be an absolute world beater if he really does have that good of a potential. And I don't know, based on the teams like Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea, and obviously a fair few other Premier League clubs who are interested in him, I think we have to assume he is kind of the real deal. Anyway, up first today, we have got a home game against Watford. If we are the team not in form this season, I think it's safe to say that Watford are the team very much in form. They have had a sea of green lately, lots and lots of wins. They've won their last 5, and in those 5 games, they've also kept 3 clean sheets, which is a little bit concerning. I suppose the good news for me, if I want to find some news, is we are almost back to full strength. I do feel like a player who has been a massive miss in this recent run of games has been Zongo. He has been our standout defensive midfielder throughout this year. Of course, he got injured last episode and has had a really long time out with a torn abdominal muscle. He's missed, I think, almost 2 months this season. And I don't want to say he's the reason we struggled, but I feel like he has just been a massive miss. I think it's probably a combination of losing our best defensive mid and then at the same time, all of our attackers really struggling, including BJS, who we have lent on very, very heavily this year. Perhaps too heavily we've lent on him. When you look at his recent form, in all these games we've played lately, I've kept him on the pitch. I'm thinking, I can't sub him off. He's our inform man. He's going to step up. And in none of the last few games has he been the hero. But who knows, maybe today can be the day. Nicolas Silva can be given a number. I'm going to give him the number 22 because it's a free number that I've got. I could give him the number 5, but that would be mental. And well, we are going to see how the number 37 ranked player in the NXGN top 50 Wonderkids does today. Yeah, we have signed a proper world-class Wonderkid, although I guess Tanko, who was also in the top 50, perhaps should also be kind of thrown into that category. Admittedly, of course, in the case of Tanko, he's still not actually started a game for us, and he's also a left attacking mid, but I don't know, at least the future looks bright here at the club, I suppose. Every time I come back for a live com, we win. I really should have come back sooner, shouldn't I? No, we need to win in this game here. A failure to win here, like I said, pretty much guarantees that we won't make the playoffs this season, in which case we will retreat to the end of the season with our tail between our legs, lick our wounds and try and come back stronger next season. All in all, though, I think we have to be really, really proud with how things have gone. We've caused some upsets. We've had some really, really good development as well, which was always the aim this year. And we've caused some shocks. And who's to say we can't cause some more? Alvarez, first goal for the season. What a time to get it. Also, don't say it too loudly. I have criticised him quite a lot in the last 2 minutes. BJS assist. Is BJS back? Is he back? I mean, it's a little give and go. And then a really good finish into the top corner. I'll tell you what, it would be the most Lewis FC thing ever, wouldn't it? We've lost 5 games in a row. Watford have won 5 games in a row. This is probably the game we win like 5-0, and I just get really cross. You know what the worst thing is? If we do actually win today, like, we could still maybe make the playoffs with 2 games left. Like, there could genuinely be something to play for. On the one hand, that excites me. On the other hand, I'm scared that we're just going to come up short. And in fact, in winning this game, I'm just giving myself a little bit of false hope. But you know what? We're just going to do what we can here and see how we fare. Cardozo to Alvarez. The number 8 steps up from the midfield, dinks it. Aguiar in behind, takes it down. Tried to square it. I think they hit the defender and the keeper had to react to turn it around the post. We do still have a corner here. It's Silva over it. The new boy, he's literally landed off the plane from Uruguay. He's here. Can he score on his debut? Imagine. He steps inside. He shoots. It's headed against the post. Aguiar nearly broke his goal-scoring drought. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but with Silva, he did also get a work permit, so there's no ESC slot being used by the 19-year-old, which is always nice. Also, 1-0 up. Let's praise the players. We've not been in this position for what feels like months. Why did I praise the players? Why did I praise the players? Watford have a chance. It's a corner. It's whipped in. I feel like with 3 centre-backs, you kind of assume that we have enough talent in the back with 3 centre-backs to deal with corners. We've dealt with this one, and now BJS is turning on the afterburners. He has an assist. He needs some support here. He's all on his lonesome. He could go on his own. And he almost did. Sawada has to stop it. It has been a weird run of games lately. I kind of almost feel like it's been a bit of a reality check. I feel like we'd had a season built on momentum and just kind of consistently finding some form and winning. I feel like the hardest thing in Football Manager is you lose 2 or 3 games in a row, then you can't get going again. And I feel like we've almost been a victim of that. And just the form across the squad just dropping off at an unfortunate point. I do also wonder with kind of a first team core really of 24 players, maybe fitness has been an issue. You know, lots of players have played lots of minutes. You've seen that in the last couple of episodes where I've had to rest players and been told players need rests fairly frequently. There's definitely been members of the first team we've lent on a little bit too much. Watford with the ball on the far side. Small lays it inside. Haddad reads it superbly. Gives it to Silva, the new boy. He plays it to Sassi, who's playing at left back because Denner is a dingus, as we've already established. Dink to Garcia from fullback to fullback. Aguiar does not miss those, and it's 2-0. I feel like Aguiar this season has scored more goals in live commentaries than in matches that I've not done in videos. I actually think that might be the case this year. He got 3 in 4 last episode. He's got 1 in 1 here. Oh, okay, that takes the pressure off us a little. Statistically, by the way, we've been so good in this game. Watford, 0 shots on target in that first half. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm very happy, lads. Cardozo over a free kick. The number 27, looking to maybe put in a ball of quality. That's a clever little pass to Suljic. Brought back to Garcia, back to Suljic. The centre-back needs some support. Gets Cardozo, who's going to float it to the back post for Silva to keep alive. He pulls it into Sassi, and it was almost free. The Watford fans behind the goal we're shooting at must be very annoyed. They've not seen their team have a shot on target on goal in the first half at the end that they're at, and now we're attacking it. This is one of the few games in recent memories where everyone's got a good rating, and so I'm not entirely sure what I want to do in terms of subs. I think actually I'm just going to bring in some fresh legs in the defence. I'm going to bring in Teo. I'm going to bring in Home for some centre-back, well, freshness. Sassy at left-back is on a booking. The issue I've got is that Denner is suspended. Amet is probably the only player I could realistically bring on to play at left wing back. Annoyingly, out of possession, he can actually play left back. It's just the left wing back position he can't play so well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start him deeper as a wing back, just so he's playing in a more familiar position. It's not often I'd opt to make 3 changes at the back, but I'm just looking at the green ratings thinking, I've not seen this front three and midfield perform this well in so long, so let's not touch that. Silva's over the corner, going to whip it in towards the near post. Suljic hits the woodwork, and that is kicked into row Z. I say row Z, I think our standard has like 12 rows, so it's probably like row H, if we really want to be pedantic about it. I mean, with 20 minutes left, I don't want to take anything for granted, but we've not shipped more than 1 goal very often lately. In fact, we've only lost 1-0 for like 3 of the last 4 games, so the fact we've scored 2 should feel like we're in a commanding position, and yet, if Watford get 1 back with the lack of belief we've had in the squad lately, I might start to panic. Is he offside? Is he offside? Chizzy has scored and he's running off with the ball. It's going to count. Sapsford just puts forward the ball here. This is just a run timed to perfection and a pass played to perfection. Home, not in the best of positions there, the centre-back I've just subbed on. I don't want to panic, but there is 18 minutes left here. And there's another highlight. This is the kind of game I'd quite happily see fizzle out into nothingness. If we get the next goal, I guess I can relax. Aguiar, in behind, takes it down nicely. He's got to hold up, balls it back to Silva, who almost scored on his debut. I feel like he's been really involved in the play today. Right, you know what? I'm going to shout some praise at the players. I want them to get a tad little bit of self-belief in them. The fact that I've clicked the praise button, the shout's gone through, and there's instantly a highlight is either going to make me look like a genius for shouting at them, or I'm going to look like a moron. Let's hope it's the former. Amet in a wide area to BJS. It's a beautiful goal. It's a 15th of the season. And we have the 2-goal cushion reinstated. Amet's playing at left back, but with that wing back role, doesn't quite get as far forward as our advanced wing backs does. But how about that for a pass from deep? It is perfectly played in. And BJS, who has the physical presence of an ant, has somehow won a header. I know what you're thinking, that's a bit harsh. Look, I'm not being funny, he's got 5 jumping reach. He's got 10 heading, so if he gets on the header, he might be okay. 7 strength, 5 jumping reach. The ants have better numbers than that. The worst thing about this game now is suddenly I have hope for the playoff spot. Suddenly I'm starting to believe again. I'm in the Matrix. That's what's happening. I'm starting to believe. There's still 5 minutes left here, but surely this is done. In fact, another goal now. You know, get someone who's not scored today on the score sheet. Let's get more confidence flowing. BJS is in behind. I thought he was going to pass that there, and he went on his own, and he probably shouldn't have. Set piece for us to deal with late on here. Whip towards the back post. Suljic with a best diving header I think I've seen all year. He gives it to Albrus. There's a 3-on-1 at the back here. Is Silva on? If he's on and he scores on his debut. I really hope he's onside. I'm scared to celebrate it. I don't need to be scared. It's going to count. It's weird, right? In FM24, you could usually see the linesman, you know, freeze on the touchline. But because in FM26, it's a different camera angle, you don't know for certain. He was onside. It's a great finish by Silva. Imagine if he gets me into the playoffs. It will be the greatest free agent signing made for the final 3 games of the season ever. It's the equivalent of in ice hockey, where on the kind of, you know, deadline, you just bring in some guns for hire to help with the playoff push. That is what we've done. I'm very happy, lads. I mean, what a result there. Hardy with a 6.5 rating in goal. Not the best game for him. Admittedly, you know, we had 1 shot on target against us, I think, and it went in. So it's not like he had a lot to do. All I'm saying is, Nicholas Silva, goal on his debut, praise coming his way. 9.0 rating is absolutely mad. He only scored 1 goal. Why is that rating so high? Don't know, don't care. Give the boys some praise. Annoyingly, despite that win, we've not actually moved up a position at all. But, crucially, we're only 2 points behind Hull City, who occupy the final playoff spot. There's a big old fight on our hands now. Our first game is against Burnley, who have had a stinker of a season. They're down in 14th. We have to try and win this one. And if we do win it, we're playing Swansea, whose spot in the playoffs is still not secure now themselves. So they're going to have something to play for too. Now, I am pleased to report there are gaps of a week between each of these games. The team can be properly rested. Oh, I'm very excited all of a sudden. Let's see if we can make a miracle happen. You know what? Hope is a dangerous thing, but hope is what is fueling me right now. If we lose this next game, we're probably not making the playoffs. But no matter what, win this next game against Burnley, we have a chance. And I did mention it before, we have now mathematically confirmed a top half finish. Let's look at that as a positive, whilst we do try and press that little bit further. In terms of team news, just based off that last performance, I am not going to change a thing here. We are going to hope that Nicolas Silva continues in his really, really rich vein of form to start his time at the club. And maybe a front three that wasn't really delivering with the new addition is just going to be able to find a way through here against Burnley. I'm not making changes. Denner, though, I can now move to the bench. You might have caught it last game as well. Jean-Philippe, yeah, he kind of building up fitness very slowly after he did his ACL. What I will say is, he is like half the player he was when I signed him last kind of summer, to the point where I'm actually weighing up if I can get any kind of millions of pounds for him, maybe I'd look to sell him on for some profit. That ACL has absolutely ruined him. I'm pretty sure his acceleration and pace averaged out at 15. It's now down at kind of 13.5, and he just doesn't seem as scary at 21 now. Besides Denner coming back to the team though, no further change is going to be made here. I feel like there's suddenly been a bit of a shift in energy. I was feeling miserable before that last game. The fact we've won it after just an awful run suddenly has my tail up. I feel like Nicolas Silva's good performance, seeing BJS and Aguiar putting in a half-decent performance is good. We are 2 points off the playoffs. We still need a mighty big miracle. But some miracles can happen in football. Sadly, one of them is the game not raining. Yeah, it's still raining. It's always raining. They've got a corner. It's going to be whipped in. Hardy punches it away. It's not away from danger. Suzuki, not cleared. It's blocked. Cardozo gets it away. Not for the first time this year. And I'm now sat thinking, could we hit them on the counter? It's something we've been great at doing. BJS on his lonesome loses out, but we've still got the ball here. Alvarez, Silva, played through the middle. Aguiar skies it, and he's got to keep that down. Corner, or not corner. Free kick whipped in. Sassy, Aguiar, knocked down. He's not going to miss that one, but he's offside. That highlight happened so quickly, I didn't have time to process it. The worst thing about that was it was Sassy at left back who was offside from the initial free kick, which I feel like is inexcusable. Halfway through this first half, a shout of demand more. They've had 7 shots to our 3, but they're yet to have a shot on target. Admittedly, that could change now as Whip Bowie. That's a fun name, isn't it? Whip Bowie's over the ball. I hope he's a real person. It's an incredible name. It's an incredible effort. It's an incredible save. Now we just need to deal with what's left of this attack, and we are going to deal with it. It might not be over, though. Burnley throw it short to Holland. Little bit of space on the far side for a cross maybe to be picked out, although we read it nicely. Playing it out from the back, Haddad with an awful pass that is read with relative ease, and suddenly we're on the back foot yet again. As oh my word, that shot was not far over. Emil Whip Bowie, he is a real person, as far as I can tell. He's got very, very good attributes. Feel like we've not been good enough in this half. Admittedly, for all the chances that Burnley have had, like their actual XG really implies that these shots they're having are largely just speculative ones from range, which is to be anticipated with the way that we play with 3 centre-backs. We crowd out that area in front of goal. We frustrate teams to long shots and wasteful opportunities. At the break, it's 0-0. I said it before things today, we really need to win here. Wrexham are doing okay in their game. As things stand, we are technically still in the playoff picture, but we would be competing for a singular spot. And I've just noticed as well, Hull City and Sheffield United aren't even playing at the moment. And if either of those teams do anything, a draw's not going to be enough. Okay, look, it is safe to assume that we are going to have to win this game. The question becomes, how am I going to do that? Do I go back to the 4-3-3 that we played last season, just to try and get a bit more of a dominance in the midfield? That is something we could maybe look to do. Zongo's coming back. I could bring him and play Alvarez and Cardozo. Suljic is having a stinker on a 6.58. Admittedly, our entire defence isn't having the best of games. I feel like it'd be mental to drop Suljic here. Loughlin's playing better than Haddad, so I'm going to swap him around and bring in, I think, another defensive mid-option. I'm going to bring in Zongo. Do I want to play Zongo as the deep-lying playmaker? I mean, 12 passing, 16 vision. It's a role that he can do. With this setup, we do play slightly less direct passing. I'm going to lower the tempo as well here. I feel like we need to hold our nerve a little bit. Going to tell the attackers I have faith in them to make a difference. Hardy at the moment is our top performer. I feel like that's an an indicator of the issues that we've had. Feels a little bit weird going back to the 4-3-3. It's not something we've done on the regular. This is the system that got us promoted last year, and I just feel like a defensive midfielder to deal with Murray at centre attacking mid for them is kind of needed. Right, let's shout some encouragement at the players here. We have to remind ourselves, away from home at Turf Moor, we are very much the underdog in a game like this. Burnley on the attack. Whit Bowie. I'm going to say his name every time he touches the ball, and I'm sorry. And also, I'm fully aware, it's definitely not how his name's said, but it's just a fun way of saying it. We've won the ball. Now can we make something happen? Ball's played wide to Sassy. Kept him in the first team over Denner, because I trust him not to get sent off. But with an effort like that, maybe I should be taking him off with an hour played. He is on a 6.46. You know what? Get him off the pitch. Get in Denner. Garcia at right back's not having a great game either. I am going to bring in Ahmet, who got an assist last game there. In the final third, BJS and Aguiar are having absolute stinkers. I'm going to bring Vale in up top. Vale, to be honest, just hasn't been a great player for us. And of course, we are now going to ditch the target forward in favour of the complete forward. On the left-hand side as well, I really want to bring in Tanko. I really want to bring him in, and I know I shouldn't, because Silva's having a good game there, kind of. Hear me out. Final sub, Jean-Philippe, who's missed the entire season, scores with 10 minutes left. I'm bringing him in. I'm taking off BJS. I'm bringing in unproven quantities in the final third. But this is something that in the recent run of games where we've not been able to score, I wasn't doing enough of. I was just sticking with the players that I thought I could trust, and they let me down. I think at this point we have got to go a bit higher tempo and a bit more direct. In terms of distribution, I'm going to go to fullbacks as well. Whilst I'm making the changes, I forgot to pause the game, and now Burnley are on the attack. Am I about to have made the most amateur error in Football Manager? Or is it maybe going to be a blessing? Because we could be on the break here. Jean-Philippe, he's back. He has risen. Vale, in behind, back heel. Cardozo has somehow missed the target. I think I've got to go attacking. I'm going to encourage the players here. We're underdogs. We need a win. I'm risking us being left open at the back, but we've got to go for this with, 15 minutes left. I want to do another shout. Let me do another shout, please. Right, one last shout. 5 minutes remain. I need a goal. If we don't win this, I think our season is donezo. And it could be a frustrating way to do it. Defensively, we've been great in this game. Offensively, we've not shown anything, and that has been the issue lately, which is going to rear its head again here. In isolation, great point away from home as a newly promoted team. In the context of our year, really disappointing. What I will say is the tactical changes that we made definitely made a difference. The match momentum shifted. We had a lot more of the ball in the second half. Couldn't do anything with it. I do wonder if next season something that we need to do in these games when we don't get a breakthrough is go back to the 4-3-3 that we ran last season. The whole reason we ditched that system was due to a lack of defensive midfielder quality. I feel like we've got a little bit more of that now with the additions we've made through this season. Luton secure a playoff spot. Swansea secure a playoff spot. The playoff spots are drying up, aren't they? Looking at things here, Sheffield United occupy it on 73 points. We're on 69 points. It's over. It's not nice. Sheffield United playing in that later game against Hull City got a draw. That was actually the worst result possible for us. I mean, sadly, that does mean that this last game now holds absolutely no importance whatsoever. We're playing Swansea. They've not got anything to play for. We've not got anything to play for. I'm going to do it in a super recappy fashion, and then we are going to talk about this season as a whole, because I'm pretty happy with this season, even if it is just going to end in a bit of sadness. Okay, final game of the season. It's a little bit bittersweet, isn't it? But we're going to use it as an opportunity to give some youngsters game time. Gustavo Baez going to make his first appearance in the first team. Going to give Rodrigue Nana his first game in goal as well. I do wonder if this guy could be our long-term first-choice goalie. The Cameroonian is looking good and continuing to improve a little bit. And I am giving a nod to Tanko up top. So yes, a lot of these younger players playing in the team. In fact, if we just look at the starting 11 here, there are 5 players 19 or younger starting for us. Bit of a shame that our season ends with this anticlimactic game. If there's some highlights to show you some goals occur, I'll show you those. Besides that, though, let's just keep this nice and succinct. Sadly, there's nothing on the line here for either team. Well, there had been a lack of chances in this first half. That was until this moment here. Scott, edge of the box, shoots, deflects twice. Yeah, I don't think Nana's to blame for that one. Half-time here, 1-0. There's not a great deal going on. It's definitely that end-of-season vibes where neither team has anything to play for. Cardozo free kick. Imagine if this flies in to start the second half. It doesn't. I have made 4 subs here. The players are still running into position. If they score here while my players are running to make a wall, I'm going to be fuming. Whittle, with respect to him, he's waiting for the wall to get into place. If Swansea score, well, I was going to say I'm still going to blame it on the subs. That is an awful effort. Why have I even been shown that? Well, I've made some subs and instantly one has popped up with a goal. Sassy playing it forward to Aguiar, using his pace, breaking through that defensive line with a perfectly timed run. Really nice finish too. Great chances in this game have really been far and few between. It is 1-1 and I think that is very likely how this game is going to finish. 4 minutes shown. Maybe there's time for late drama yet. Maybe there's time for one of us to grab a late goal. If we do win here, we can maybe find ourselves even closer to the playoff spots. The history books, it will appear as if, you know, we were a little bit closer to the playoffs than perhaps we were positionally. Although saying all of that, they're on the attack and they very nearly scored. You know what, we'll take a point. Bit of a sad anticlimactic end to the season, but I suppose that's on brand for how this season's gone. I mean, I'm proud that we've salvaged a draw against Swansea in the playoff spots, but naturally, yeah, the last 2 months of the season have really kind of put a dampener on things. You know, things are bad because the dog has come to console me. You were crying outside, weren't you? Even you're depressed by how this season's ended. Have you got any thoughts on positions to improve for the season? No, you're just enjoying your chew, aren't you? Fair enough. The dog's decided to sit under my desk. He's never done this before, so if this video now just abruptly ends, assume he chewed a cable he shouldn't have. Nana makes his debut. Look, it's not one to remember, but he could have a future at the club. I think he will have a future at the club, to be fair, if he can just improve. I guess that's the crucial thing this season. When it came to this season's recruitment, we did a real scattershot approach where we signed loads and loads of players. Some of them have worked, some of them really haven't. I guess in the category of they haven't, Hatu perhaps has to appear. The 19-year-old. I'm hoping we might be able to sell on for a profit, but given we signed him for £250,000, that's going to be tricky. I suppose the positive, even if there's some signings like Son Jin-hyun that I want to label as a failure, we did actually make some money off him in the end. You can see here, obviously, we showed this at the start of the video. We made some really good, significant money. So if we can do that with all the signings that don't work, that's still a net benefit to us, really. There are also a few players that we signed and loaned out this year that really haven't had a chance to play in the first team yet, like Sheldon Gordon, who could feature next season. Sheldon Gordon looks really, really good. He proved himself a little bit at League One level this year. And Joel Ambrosio, who we also signed, he obviously went to Turkey. He's actually not been playing matches in Turkey, but his development's still been positive. He's now playing for the Angola national team. I don't play with a centre attack in mid, but with a player this good and this young, maybe, you know, I've got to weigh up different ways I can try and feature him in the team. And of course, when it comes to first team signings this year that we've made and that have worked, I think none is better than BJS to kind of give you an idea of players that performed. 15 goals, 11 assists. That was kind of my best case scenario, I think, when we signed him. And even Zongo on a 6.98 rating. I know it's not in green, but for a defensive midfielder, that is a really, really impressive return. And I do feel like the fact that he was missing for that 2-month period at the end of the season where we struggled the most really is an indicator of how good he is. Charlie Hardy in goal is a weird one because I've now got question marks over his potential, but there's no denying the 22-year-old has proven to be a championship caliber goalie. In fact, looking at the season kind of coverage here, you can see he's actually got the most clean sheets with 18 to his name. And when I look at the team performance, I have to say I'm really happy with 10th. Yes, it's not where we could have been. The fact that at the end of last episode I was in 3rd and I'm in 10th, I have to kind of say I'm just happy with things through kind of bated breath, but at the start of the season, I would have bitten your hand off for this year. The season preview kind of implies it. We didn't have the quality, really, to be challenging at the top of the championship, and I think that showed throughout the year. The one player who is of real quality for us is Amir Suljic. He is going into the final year of his contract. The only silver lining right now is his minimum release clause expires at the end of next month. Unfortunately, in terms of signing a new contract, it's not looking likely. So he is someone we might just have to look to cash in on in the summer. Concerningly, his value is still really, really low. I suppose the one good thing is, with a season of us established in the Championship, player reputation, club reputation is going to rise. And I think that is shown through the values. If you look to the value of our squad at the start of the year versus the end, the impact that just a year of playing at this level has on reputation, I think, is extremely, extremely evident. And with respect to Harvey Vale, who of course we signed in January, I'm looking at his valuation thinking, if someone bid 7 million, 6 million, heck, even maybe 5 million, it probably would be silly not to sell him. I mean, despite the end of the season, we've ended things with the board happiness being an A+. The club vision, the squad, they're very, very happy with. I do feel like with a couple of exceptions in terms of managing minutes this year and expectations, we've actually done a pretty good job of keeping the squad happy. I think the big challenge for this year is going to be keeping hold of some of our most exciting players like Cardozo. Maria Garcia's also got some interest from some Premier League teams. And I suppose what I will say is when I look at our best 11 at the end of the season and how we're looking, I am infinitely more happy than I was at the start of the year. It's a young team, it's an exciting team, and I think there's a few really obvious areas to target next time out to start next week with a transfer special. I suppose really I'm just hoping that we're given the budgets to try and support that. The board, I was about to say the budgets haven't been set by the board. They've just been set now. Transfer budget, 4.6 million. Wage spend available, £15,000 isn't the most. Kind of shocked the amount of transfer budget given the club's overall balance, but I'm going to spend the money I'm told I'm allowed to spend. Granted, with only £15,000 excess on the wages, I think there's a distinct possibility we're probably going to be rejiggling the budgets a little bit. In fact, I'm going to jiggle them a bit now. Player of the season for me, not going to be a surprise, BJS. In terms of most improved, it is between Garcia and Cardozo. Garcia still can't really defend, but his physicals are looking really, really good now. And as for Cardozo, I guess my main concern is just the quality of the teams interested in him. And maybe a little bit of a regret I didn't try and lock him into a longer deal sooner. Anyway, you can let me know your player of the season, your young player of the season, and what positions you think I should strengthen down below. I'm sad we're not in the playoffs. In some ways, it's maybe a relief with this squad. I don't think we're ready for promotion, but I think we're ready to give it a really good push for the playoffs next season. If you have enjoyed things today, go down below, leave a like. Appreciate the support. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you next time for more. I'm out.